Ready to dive into the soul warrior. We're tackling faith and personal growth today, exploring how to build a strong inner self.
Sounds like my kind of workout.
Me too. And the author really hits the ground running, comparing personal growth to, well, actual physical training. He's got this whole soul workout metaphor going on.
I like it.
Right. He's basically saying, just like you need a strong core for, like, physical strength, you need a strong inner self to handle life's challenges.
It's that foundation, that inner resilience.
Exactly. And he ties it back to this idea from Maria Montessori about faith in oneself, which I thought was really interesting.
It's about cultivating that deep down belief in your own abilities, that unshakable confidence.
So you can face the world head on no matter what life throws your way.
Exactly. It's about being able to navigate challenges with resilience and grace.
Which makes me think about the contrast between inner strength and, like, outer appearances.
Right, because you can look successful on the outside. But without that solid internal foundation...
You're going to crumble when things get tough.
Exactly, and the author really emphasizes that.
It's like, imagine facing uncertainty, a difficult decision, a loss, or even just the everyday chaos of life, and feeling this sense of peace, this inner knowing that you've got this because you have this internal compass, this spiritual system guiding you.
It's about having that inner strength to draw on.
Totally. And it's interesting because he defines faith in a way that I found really refreshing. He's not just talking about traditional religion necessarily.
It's all broader than that.
Right. It's about finding a belief system, a set of values that brings you comfort and purpose.
It's like that comfort zone we all crave,
Yeah.
but on a much deeper, more meaningful level.
So even if we can't definitively prove our beliefs,
They still offer this incredible sense of order in a world that can often feel chaotic.
totally. It's about creating stability from within, no matter what's happening around us.
Absolutely. It's about that internal foundation.
But he doesn't shy away from the hard stuff either.
Yeah, he definitely goes there.
He actually argues that questioning our faith, grappling with those tough questions, is crucial for growth.
It's like a workout for your soul, pushing those spiritual muscles to their limits.
I love that analogy. It might not always be comfortable.
No, it can definitely be challenging, but it ultimately leads to stronger convictions, a deeper understanding of what we truly believe.
So it's not about blindly accepting what we were taught. It's about actively engaging with our beliefs, challenging them, and coming to a place of personal conviction.
Exactly. And that's where he introduces this really interesting distinction between values, like our guiding qualities, like honesty or compassion,
Okay, I'm with you.
and principles, the actions those values inspire.
So it's like our values are the why behind our actions.
Exactly. They're the guiding force behind how we move through the world.
I like that. Could you give us an example of how that plays out in real life?
Sure. Let's say one of your core values is peace.
Okay, I can get behind that.
So if you value peace, that's going to influence your actions, your principles.
Right. So, like, you might be more likely to seek out peaceful resolutions.
Exactly. You might try to avoid unnecessary conflict.
Or practice forgiveness more readily.
Right. Your values shape your behavior, how you interact with the world around you.
It's about aligning your actions with your core beliefs, walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Precisely. It's about living in alignment with what truly matters to you.
Which makes me wonder, what's a value you hold highly? And how does it guide your actions?
That's a great question. I'd say, for me, it's about curiosity, this insatiable thirst for knowledge.
Oh, I can definitely see that.
And that translates into a principle of lifelong learning.
Always seeking out new information, new perspectives.
Exactly. Always challenging myself to grow and evolve. It's what drew me to this field in the first place.
That's awesome. It really speaks to that transformative power of connecting our values with concrete actions. But what about the science behind all of this? Is there any actual evidence that spirituality is good for us?
There actually is. The author mentions this fascinating study from Duke University.
Oh, yeah. What was that about again?
They found that people with higher levels of spirituality or religiosity had an 18% lower mortality rate.
Wait, 18%? That's huge.
Right. It's not just about feeling good. It seems like it actually has tangible health benefits.
Wow. So it's like taking care of your spiritual health has this ripple effect, influencing both your mental and physical well-being.
Exactly. It's all interconnected.
It really makes you think, like, it's not just about going to a certain place of worship or, following a specific set of rituals.
It's about something deeper.
Exactly. It's about cultivating that inner connection, that sense of grounding.
It's like having that inner anchor.
Yes. And it reminds me of this time a while back. I was going through a really tough period work was crazy, family stuff, you name it, and I just felt completely overwhelmed.
Oh, I've been there.
Right. And a friend of mine, she suggested I try meditation, which honestly I'd always been kind of skeptical of.
Really?
Yeah, I know. But I was desperate, so I figured, why not give it a shot?
So what happened?
Well, to my surprise, it actually helped. I mean, it wasn't like this magic solution or anything, but it gave me this sense of calm, this ability to just step back from the chaos for a minute and tap into some inner strength I didn't even realize I had.
It's amazing how powerful those little shifts in perspective can be, right?
Absolutely. And it made me realize the truth in what the author's saying. A strong spiritual foundation, however you define that, can be incredibly beneficial. But a weak one, that can leave you feeling lost and vulnerable.
He makes that comparison to untrained muscles.
Oh, yeah.
They might seem okay when you're just relaxing, but as soon as you need them to perform...
They can't handle the pressure.
Exactly. He talks about the danger of basing our self-worth on external factors.
Like money, status, other people's approval.
Right. All those things that can change in an instant.
You're constantly on shaky ground.
Precisely. Whereas having that internal compass, that strong sense of self that's rooted in your values and beliefs,
Yeah.
that gives you the stability to weather those external storms.
You're not at the mercy of every little change in circumstance.
Exactly. You have that unshakable core. And this is where I think the author's own personal journey is so illuminating.
He did go on quite the spiritual quest, didn't he? Exploring all these different faiths and ultimately finding his way back to Islam.
Yeah, it was quite a journey.
What was it about that part of his story that resonated with you?
You know, it wasn't so much about the specific religions he explored. It was more about the process itself.
The seeking, the questioning.
Exactly. He was actively choosing his path based on personal conviction.
Not just blindly accepting what he'd been taught.
Right. Believing out of conviction, not just social conditioning. I think that's something we can all relate to, whether it's about our faith, our values, our careers, anything really.
It's about having the courage to question, to explore different paths, and ultimately choose what feels most authentic to you.
Exactly. It's about owning your journey.
And speaking of unexpected journeys, I loved his observation about all the Abrahamic prophets being shepherds.
Oh, yeah. That was a fascinating point.
Shepherds. Like, who would have thought? What was he getting at there?
Right. It seems kind of random at first, but then he dives into the skills you develop as a shepherd.
Patience, compassion.
An understanding of different natures, guiding your flock towards a destination, and suddenly it clicks.
It all comes together.
He's drawing this really interesting parallel between shepherding and leadership.
It's like this unexpected training ground for dealing with people, understanding their needs, helping them navigate difficult situations.
Exactly.
It makes you think about all those experiences in our own lives, things that maybe seem kind of mundane or insignificant at the time.
Or even challenge.
Right, like maybe a part-time job, volunteer work, or even just dealing with, that one difficult family member. All those things could be shaping us in ways we don't even realize.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing those unexpected growth opportunities.
Have you had any experiences like that, things that you didn't fully appreciate until later on?
Oh, definitely. I used to teach a summer program for underprivileged kids, and it was tough, really demanding.
Yeah.
But looking back, it taught me so much about patience, communication, and meeting people where they are.
Skills that have served you well in your work today.
Exactly. It's amazing how those seemingly unrelated experiences can have such a profound impact.
It all ties together.
It really does.
And I think that leads perfectly into his other point about the prophets, how they weren't just delivering a message.
They were offering something of value.
Yeah, right. Guidance for a better life.
And he connects that to the world of business.
Oh, yeah. He's big on that connection between spirituality and, entrepreneurship.
He suggests that businesses, like those prophets, need to be providing real value, not just peddling products or services.
It's about making a difference, not just a profit.
Exactly. And I love that he compares recognizing a fruit tree to recognizing a person's value.
Oh, that's a good one. What did you make of that?
He's saying that just like we identify a tree by the fruit it bears, the value it provides, we too are judged by the value we bring to the world.
It's like, what do you contribute? What's your impact?
Exactly. It's about how we make other people's lives better. And ultimately, I think it comes back to his core message about the importance of pairing knowledge with action.
Knowledge without action is it's like having a car but never driving it.
It's like having all the ingredients for a delicious meal, but never actually cooking it.
Right. You know what you should be doing, but you're not taking those tangible steps.
He talks about going through a period in his own life where he felt stuck in that place of inaction.
Where he had all this knowledge, all these ideas.
But he wasn't putting them into practice.
He's kind of stuck in his head.
Exactly. And that lack of action, that lack of purpose, it led to this sort of paralysis.
He knew what he should be doing, but he wasn't actually doing it.
And he's really honest about that struggle, which I appreciate.
It's something I think a lot of us can relate to, right? That whole analysis paralysis thing.
Oh, absolutely. We overthink, we overanalyze.
And we end up doing nothing at all.
It's so true. We're all guilty of it sometime.
For sure. But his story, I mean, his willingness to confront that inaction, it's a good reminder that knowledge without action, it's incomplete.
It's like having all the tools, but never building anything.
Yes. And he ties it back to this idea of, like, what was it? Newton's third law?
Oh, you mean for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah, that's the one. It's like effort reaps rewards, but it has to be directed effort, you know?
Exactly. It's not just about blindly taking action.
It's got to be aligned with something.
Right. Aligned with your values, your goals, that sense of purpose we've been talking about.
So it's like this domino effect.
Right.
Once you start aligning your actions with your values, once you take those first few steps, it creates this momentum.
One positive action leads to another.
And before you know it, you've created some real change in your life.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? That power we have to shape our own reality.
Absolutely. And it makes me think, like, what's one area where our listeners could apply this principle in their own lives?
That's the question, isn't it? What are you holding back from doing? What would it look like to take those first steps, to turn that knowledge into action?
What would it take to break free from that analysis paralysis?
Exactly. It's about identifying those areas where we're stuck and then having the courage to move forward, even if it's just one small step at a time.
Because growth often happens outside of our comfort zones, right?
Absolutely. And the author gets that, you know? He doesn't just preach this stuff from some high horse.
He's right there in the trenches with us.
Exactly. He talks about his own struggles, his moments of doubt and questioning.
He even talks about wrestling with his own faith, challenging the Quran.
Which I think is so important, you know? He's not afraid to ask the tough questions, even if it makes him uncomfortable.
It's like he says, the more you challenge your beliefs, the stronger they become.
It's about coming to a place of deeper understanding, a more authentic faith.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the soul warrior, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this conversation?
More than anything, I hope they feel inspired to approach their inner lives with the same kind of dedication and intentionality that they bring to their physical health.
So it's like, just like we exercise our bodies to build strength and resilience?
We can also work out our souls through introspection, reflection, and engaging with those big questions.
It's about cultivating that unshakable inner core that allows us to navigate life's ups and downs with purpose, resilience, and a deep sense of peace.
And remember, there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
You gotta find what works for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If spirituality is like a muscle, then it's up to each of us to find the exercises that work best for us.
Whether that's traditional prayer, meditation, spending time in nature, connecting with art, having those deep, meaningful conversations, whatever resonates.
The key is to find what helps you tap into that inner strength, that wellspring of peace and purpose that's within all of us.
It's about creating a personalized soul workout routine that nourishes your spirit and helps you grow.
I love that. A soul workout routine.
So as you go about your week, think about what soul exercises you can incorporate into your life.
What can you do to strengthen that inner core?
What steps can you take to live a more purposeful, more fulfilling life?
It's an ongoing journey, but every step we take towards greater self-awareness and spiritual growth, it's a step worth taking.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
The pleasure was all mine.